Hey guys, what's up? My name is Randu. Today I have a special video for headphone enthusiasts. Do you still remember the time and the hype that was created when Massdrop announced their THX-789 headphone amplifier? People called it as the holy grail, the end game headphone amp, the shift delete your HeadFi account type of amp. Everybody dreamed about it, everybody wanted one, but good luck finding one, because it was sold out I think in 1 hour for the first batch. Second batch was sold in 2 hours and third one lasted for about 1 day. People even were selling it on the used market for higher prices than MSRP. So obviously its demand was much higher than its supply and the hype was real. A year passed and people are still very interested in it. It carries two THX-788 stereo modules, known for very low distortion numbers, high output power and close to zero coloration. But if you wanted to go all in for the best available THX chips on the market, the dual mono THX-888, you needed to shell some very serious cash for the benchmark HPA4 that I reviewed a few months ago, and later on I purchased one for myself because I liked it very much. Benchmark Media was the sole manufacturer for the top of the line THX modules, but that soon changed with the introduction of the SMSL SP200 headphone amp that I will be testing today. It's super small, it's super cute, it's really affordable. It has RCA and XLR on the back, it has a gain switch. Should it also deliver incredibly good sonics? I don't know, but let's check it out together. This is the box and let's open it up. Lots of foam as usual. You have a power cable. You have the unit itself. Really small, as you can see. Nice one. And you have also some paperwork, some specs, I believe, and a card, warranty card maybe, and that's basically it, everything you can find inside. No user manual in the box to be found, but since it is only a headphone amp with no additional features, so I don't think a user manual will make a difference and it is needed. Just attach a source to it, select RCA or XLR on the front and listen to some tunes. Unboxing it, I couldn't believe how small and how lightweight it is. In the same time I remembered how good my former reference Gilmore Light Mark II from Headamp sounded, or how Burson Fan or even Cute Bacillus from RZH Audio sounded. All were small but huge in terms of sonics. What surprised me really is that it doesn't have an external switching power supply like how THX-789 by Massdrop is having, but has it inside the unit. So if the audiophile in you wants to use some fancier power cables, you can do that with SP200, and you can't do that with THX-789. Build quality I think is great. The case seems to be aluminum milled on a CNC machine. The case is thick and the back and front panel are even thicker. It has rubber feet underneath in small cutouts, so those will not wobble around. Its build quality is pretty much on the same level with the THX-789 from my perspective. I have no complaints. On the front panel you have two headphone outs, a 1/4 inch headphone out and a 4-pin XLR output, an on-off switch, an RCA or XLR input selector, a high-low gain selector and a volume wheel. No display, but it's really not needed for a pure analog amp. On the back you have a universal AC input, so you can use it anywhere on the globe without changing a jumper or flipping a switch. You also have our RCA and XLR input. It doesn't have any analog output, so it can't work as a line stage, as a preamp I mean. When I first looked at it, I wasn't really sure I'm looking from a right angle, but when I got to play with it in my hand I observed the slightly angled case. I think it looks interesting, it's not over the top, and most importantly it doesn't have any sharp edges. In terms of technology inside, I think this is where it gets super interesting, because HPA4 by Benchmark Media has a competitor now at just 1/10 of its price. So SP200 is also using dual mono THX-888 circuitry inside. If you never heard about those, THX modules are reducing harmonic, intermodulation and crossover distortions by up to 20 to 40 dB compared to regular headphone amplifiers, offering a truer to life, a realistic and fatigue-free listening experience. All was possible by using patented feed-forward error correction to null conventional distortions and noise levels. SP200 will deliver up to 6 watts of power into 16 ohms or 3 watts of power into 32 ohm loads on both the quarter-inch headphone out and on the 4-pin XLR output. So it doesn't really matter if you have a balanced headphone cable or not, it delivers its full power on both outputs. With all those impressive numbers, it should drive even the most demanding headphones as high impedance dynamics or current-driven planar magnetics. We will of course test both instances and we'll see about that. It has an output impedance close to 0 ohms, so damping factor should not be affected at all, and at only 2.8 microvolts of noise under load, it should pair nicely even with extra sensitive IEMs. It seems that SMSL designed a special 24 watt power supply for this unit to be very efficient, very small, and obviously an ultra low noise one. It is encapsulated inside a metal shell. That is always a good sign, and hum or hiss should be undetected. As with all THX designs, the electrolytic caps are not in the signal path and are used for power filtering. Okay everyone, I think it's time to hit some eardrums. Testing its noise floor and the background noise, I first connected two very sensitive IEMs, my FIO FA7 and SIMGOT EN700, and I'm glad to report that the noise floor is nowhere to be found in the low gain mode. I was skeptical at first because its low gain doesn't have a unity gain of 0 dB, but it is a higher one at plus 6 dB, and I feared that I might hear a little bit of hiss or a little bit of hum, but my fears are now completely gone because background is super black. All I hear is just a complete silence, even at the maximum volume. I tried the high gain setting and I paused my music obviously, and I started hearing just a little bit of hum starting with the 10 o'clock position. However, if I would press play at that volume, I would go deaf probably. So I think in low gain it worked exceptionally well with any IEMs, and there is plenty of volume. There is, however, a small issue that you should know about. With very sensitive IEMs it starts to be really loud and really fast. So please take care of the volume position you are selecting. I personally couldn't listen more than 8 o'clock position, and at 9 o'clock it is just too loud for me. With portables like Sennheiser Momentum 2 or like RZH Thalia, I couldn't go more than 10 o'clock position, and that's basically it. Plenty of volume, lots of volume even on the low gain. Funny thing is that except for the Hi-Fi Man area from my stable, all headphones worked really nice in the low gain mode. I used high gain basically only with the Hi-Fi Man area for the best results. Now speaking about the tonality of this little amp, I think SP200 stays true to the source and to the recording. It doesn't add a lot of from itself, it has close to zero coloration, so I consider it very linear sounding without putting an emphasis on anything. It's neither bright, it's neither warm. I think it sounds exactly like your source and your headphones. And as such, I can say it has a tonality. I think it is without one. System matching is crucial with SP200. You really need to love your source a lot because it will enhance all its sonics, including its flows. So with a great sounding source, the end result would also be great, and with mediocre sounding source, the end result might be disappointing to you. I encountered this phenomenon already multiple times, even with my benchmark HPA4. Some might say that it has an incredible fluidity and smoothness. Due to a very low noise floor, you have a darker room basically, and you hear all the musical notes a little bit louder, and all the notes are somehow bonded to each other, so you hear this smoothness, this natural smoothness, I think. This is a different kind of smoothness, so SP200 doesn't roll off anything in the frequency area. This is just how your music is supposed to sound when you take out all the distortions, all the noise floor. I think that is impressive. In terms of transparency and the resolution, I think SP200 is shining brighter than any other headphone amps, and it feels really at home when it comes to resolution and transparency. When you lower down all that noise, everything that remains is just a clearer, louder and more outlined musical presentation. So SP200, as the rest of the THX family of products, are actually excelling at recreating the original intent of the recording engineer. So it will extract absolutely everything there is to hear. It is brutally honest. I think this could be a good thing or this could be a bad thing. So bad mastered music will becomes almost unlistenable. You hear all these flaws, you hear them very clear. So some people might not like that, but as an owner of HPA4 I really like that, because I can even review some of the records that I'm listening with this kind of gear. And in the same time I really enjoy those explosive dynamics that it has. It reveals in the music that I never knew were there before. When noise and distortion is lowering down, I can now look basically at a bigger picture in front of me, so I can appreciate the distance between a few notes, between the singer and me, for example. Everything just becomes much easier to spot and to focus on. So I think SP200 has a high transparency levels. All the flows from the usual bass tracks on my rock tunes are easily spotted. So if you want a very revealing amplifier that will show all the strengths and all the cons of your source, digital or analog, I think SP200 will offer you that. Now moving on into the transient response, you should know that the best transient response I ever heard from a headphone amplifier was on the HPA4. And if I move to faster paced music, I'll always have a big smile on my face. It just grabs you and pounds you on the floor, I think, with tons of energy, with great speed and impact. I think its spectral decay is just perfect, and diaphragm control as well. I think SP200 is basically the same, but to a smaller degree. So with a close to zero impedance and with a whopping 6 watts of power, the damping factor is really huge on this one, and the transient response is on a very high level as well. So my usual folk rock tunes and my older electronica kicked some serious punch into my eardrums. Okay, now moving on into the Soundstage, I think this is probably the only thing that I don't consider impeccable is the Soundstage size of this device. It is medium in size, sounds outside my head, but it doesn't envelop my entire body how a hybrid all tube or a very good solid state headphone amplifier will do. So I don't know what might be the culprit of this. Maybe it's power supply, maybe something else, but you should know that THX-789 is basically the same. So only the bigger and costlier HPA4 will present a bigger and more believable stage in front of me and just around me. In exchange, SP200 presented a really good see-through depth, so I can easily appreciate how far all musicians and their location in a 3D field. So listening even to Roger Waters, you hear all those tiny sounds, tiny amounts of air moving around, creating a feeling that I'm not listening to headphones, but to a cleverly positioned speaker system. So with the right music, I think SP200 will present all the spatial cues and will render all the depth information quite good. In terms of output power with Sennheiser HD660S, I couldn't go past 10 o'clock position in low gain mode, mind you. With Quad Era 1 I couldn't pass 11 position, and with Hi-Fi area I couldn't pass the 13 volume position on the low gain again. With RZH Talia and with the Sennheiser Momentum 3, it's just child's play. It will power them all without breaking a sweat. I think SP200 has a lot of power. And everything, basically all my headphones were driven to their fullest potential without breaking a sweat. So I presume it will do just fine with all planar magnetic headphones, and probably with one exception or two, I mean Sasvara and Abyss. Power wise it is basically on the same level with THX-789 and offers just a little bit lower than the HPA4 that has a higher voltage power supply, and as a result offers a little bit more power on tap and better control. SP200 is tiny, but the sound and the power it produces is not. So yeah, I think SP200 is incredibly powerful. I almost can't believe that it can properly drive my Hi-Fi area like it's nothing. So impressive, I think, should be just an understatement of how it sounds. In terms of frequency response, sub-bass, I think it is incredibly tight. It is detailed, layered and very deep. Bass control is not something that a lot of headphone amps can be proud about, yet SP200 has it under very strict control. I think mid-bass is not overdone or emphasized. The mid-bass hump is not present at all. and will not color the overall performance. It's there in a right dose, I think, and again it comes only when it's called for. What I really like is that how tactile, how fast and how instant can it be. So it is lightning quick, it strikes immediately with a huge force and impact. If you prefer a bass that lingers just a little bit more with longer and smoother decays, then this will not be for you. SP200 is just brutally honest. It can be slow only when the song asks for it, otherwise expect some explosive dynamics. Moving on into the mid-range area, again it is neutral to a point that at first it might sound a bit dry and uninvolving, but the more I listen to it, the more it impresses me more, and I understand why it changes its character so often and so easily. So sometimes it will sound wet, sometimes it will sound smooth and evolving, and sometimes it can sound dry, even bright or unbearable. So I think it is truly a chameleon of a headphone amp. You have amps that are sounding warm, smooth and evolving, then you have amps that are sounding neutral or bright, then you have THX amps like, that are sounding like all of the above, plus a little bit more. So this is a new breed of headphone amps that will alter their sound signature depending on the quality of the recording, of the source material and of the headphones, obviously. Treble is extended and top octave can be spotted without even closing my eyes anymore. So I think it extracts treble information so easily, so amazingly vivid and clear. In terms of overall frequency response, I think SP200 is dead neutral and straight as a line. So it's straight, just true to the recording and doesn't add a hint of coloration. In 2 to 3 days I will be comparing all these THX headphone amplifiers. I'm very excited about that and I'm looking forward to it, and you should too. Moving on into the conclusion, at $289, this is currently the most affordable THX amp that sounds stunningly close to its bigger brother. So in the past I believed that a top performing headphone amp with top specs, with top sonics, can only be achieved past $1,000 US. But SMSL proved me wrong on so many levels with SP200. It offers a balanced sound across the board. It delivers truly high-end sonics without murdering your wallet. So did it impress me? You bet it did. It just wiped the floor with higher priced headphone amps, and this is currently my highest recommendation that I can give to you. And you know what's its best feature yet? You don't need to pre-order it, you don't need to wait for another batch. You can buy it right now at this moment. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. My full in-depth review can be read at my website, there is a link below. Please listen to more music, be positive, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.